Hi guys, I wanted to make a day a study chart about how you could things you could find when you're making a chart for a person, when you're reading a chart for a person. And today I have a friend of mine here who volunteered to give me a chart. And the first thing you want to find is the ascendant, and the ascendant falls on the left side. And in this case, her ascendant is Leo. Okay, Leo rules her first house of self, meaning that she's a very proud person. Her personality is very bright. She likes to be the center of attention. That's how she comes across to people. She's also pretty loud too. And where is her sun sign? Where is her sun sign? Her sun sign is actually in Taurus, meaning that her inner soul is more of a calm person, a very patient, um, a very patient person who is often, pessimistic about money. The third thing you want to look at in a chart is the moon. Where is the moon located? And in this case, her moon is located in Sagittarius, meaning that her emotional reaction is of not caring often because she doesn't want to feel pain, or she doesn't want to feel, the responsibility that, emotions often do carry with. She's very much carefree when it comes to, emotional reaction. The next thing you want to look at is, where is Mercury? How does she communicate? And Mercury is on Gemini, meaning that she's very, very gossipy. She loves to socialize. That is something that, is one of her hobbies, actually. And it's actually going retrograde, meaning that she's got to be very careful who she talks to about who, because usually people do find out when, she does gossip about other people. But, she's very much into chatting and knowing what's going on with people, very conversative, very talkative. Now, the next thing you want to look at is, where's her Venus? And in this case, her Venus falls in Aries, meaning that when it comes to love, she likes to be the hunter because Aries likes to hunt. She doesn't like to be hunted down. Anybody that tries to hunt her down, it'll immediately turn her off. So she has to be the person that initiates love, not the other person around. And she also likes men that, have everything in control, men that are very geared towards they're very authoritative figures. That's something that really, really sparks her interest. The next thing you want to look at is, where's her Mars? And her Mars is actually in Leo in her first house, meaning she has a lot of energy, because when Mars is in the first house of self-image, it means that it's the most energetic placement anybody could have in their chart. And she has Mars in Leo, and Mars is the most physical planet, meaning that it often describes a person physically and how do they look. And she has Mars in Leo, meaning that she could have very cat-like features. So maybe her eyes are green, which is true. Her eyes are really green, and she has her eyes are shaped very much like a cat, and she behaves very much like a lioness. Okay. The next thing you want to look at is, where is her Jupiter? Okay, and her Jupiter is in Aries, meaning that she really, really likes adventure. The more the better, because that's what Jupiter is. Jupiter is the planet that expands everything. So when Jupiter is in her ninth house, which happens to be the case, she tends to travel a lot. And also, it's very close to Venus, meaning that she likes to travel a lot, because that's what Venus stands for. Venus stands for taste, and her taste is to travel. It's her likings. And when you put it together with Jupiter in that same house, it expands her travels. So this person is going to be traveling a lot, and usually has to do with travels that pertain to adventure, because and conquest, because Aries is in this house of travel and higher knowledge. So she's going to be traveling, but she's going to be traveling because of adventure, because she wants to conquer the place. Okay. The next thing you want to look at is Saturn. Where's her Saturn at? And Saturn actually falls right in Aquarius. So Saturn actually falls in Aquarius, meaning that she has a lot of difficulty. Has a lot of difficulty with intellectual stuff, and maybe in this lifetime she has to try and develop intellectual skills, as well as she also has trouble with partnerships. Okay, she has a lot of trouble with relationships throughout her life, and that is because Saturn is in her seventh house, and that's just something that she has to work on during her whole life, which is, how can she improve her relationships with people? How could she make them solid? How could she make her partnership solid? That's what Saturn is asking her in her seventh house, okay? And usually her relationships are very odd because Aquarius is in her seventh house, and Aquarius is a very, very odd sign. The next thing she wants to look at is Uranus. The next thing we want to look at is Uranus. Where's Uranus located? And Uranus is actually located in her second house of money. And Uranus, it pertains to the wild card, things that change really rapidly. And in this case, she's not well in handling money, because whatever money that she makes, she will lose it really quickly. She will waste it, or she will go spendthrift, and she's not very well in handling money. Whatever she earns, she can't keep very well. And that is in her second house. The next thing you want to look at is, where is Neptune? Where's her delusions? Her false perception. Okay, and her false perception is in her family zone. It's in the fourth house. It actually falls in Scorpio. And it's actually reversed, meaning that she could actually see through the veil. So when it falls in her family zone, it could mean that she could be very psychic about her family members and what they're after, okay? What their motives are. The next thing you want to look at is, where is Pluto? Pluto is actually in her second house, okay? And that's just something that in life she has to learn how to transform herself in terms of how does she handle money, okay? That's just one of the major life lessons. And speaking of life lessons, I want to talk about the North Node, which is in her 12th house. And her North Node is, where is she going in this direction in life, okay? Where is she heading? Because the South Node is the opposite of the North Node, and her South Node would be in her 6th house of activity, of daylight. However, it's pointing to the nighttime. It's pointing to being passive, meaning that she has to learn how to tone herself down and lay low and be more humble. Because in her past life, she was not humble. She was very much of a routine person, okay? Because 6th house has to do with routine. And she was an minister. She was a workaholic. So in this life, she has to learn how to sit down and maybe work behind the scenes, okay? Maybe as a secretary. And, learn how to be a little bit more humble. Now, I had forgotten to mention that Mercury falls in her 11th house of friends. Again, she loves to gossip with friends. She likes activities like shopping and interacting in social events. That's something that she really likes. However, her sun is in the 10th house, meaning that there's where she shines, in her career, in her job. There's where she shines. There's where everybody knows her as a person that can get the job done, because we have Taurus there. And what is Taurus? Taurus is a person that's patient, is diligent, and sticks to whatever project that they get into. Also, I forgot to mention that the moon is in her 5th house of children, pets, and creativity, meaning that the moon often symbolizes a little bit of trouble, a little bit of emotional issues, and it has to do with kids in this chart. So, that's a little battle that the person has usually in their chart. It's like a miniature battle, you know what I mean? Now, the next thing that we want to look at after we peel the onion, the first layer of the onion, which is the first overview, is the second overview, which has to do with aspects. So what is one of the aspects here is that Mars is squaring her sun, meaning that so much energy that she puts into her personality could actually conflict with her job and maybe get her enemies at work. Okay, that's just one of the things. And also, she has, I think, a little miniature conjunction with Mercury and the Sun here. So it has to do with gossiping at work and then coming out of work into social events, maybe a bar afterwards or a restaurant, and then talking about whatever was done at the job. And I could keep on going here. There's a lot of aspects going here, but I just wanted to give you a miniature overview of how a chart is pretty much read. Okay, and after you do the chart reading, then you do the chart transiting. Okay, how do the current transits affect this person's natal chart, this person's blueprint? Okay, this person. So those are just layers of astrology.